Hi, I'm Maria Correa, and I'm here at the Culture Matters podcast with Chris Smith.
Maria, good morning or good afternoon. I have no idea where you are, but I no doubt you're going to tell us that, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
good morning, Chris. For me, I'm in Colombia currently in Bogota, so
Okay.
it's 9 a.m. here. So good morning.
Okay. We got 7 hours time difference, I think. What time is it here? It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And by the way, recording date is July 15, 2025. That is for you or if you're listening in the future, right? Okay. In Bogota, you gave that away. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? Where you currently are, we know. And what is your so-called cultural frame of reference?
Sure, Chris. I'm Colombian from
Mhm.
Bogota. I was born and raised here in Bogota. I am a lawyer, career. I also study political science, and I started very early in my life with a passion for politics. I joined my first presidential campaign when I was 16 years old while in high school. And from there, I discovered my passion for politics and for campaignings and for government. And so I kept that path of work throughout my, I have kept that path of work throughout my career. When I graduated from law school, I had my first, let's say, postgraduate job at the presidency of the Republic of Colombia. I was
Mhm.
an advisor to the chief of staff of that moment in the government of President Álvaro Uribe. Later, I was a consul for the Colombian consulate in New York. So I moved to New York. I was able there to study my master's degree at Columbia University and MPA. Later, I joined an organization called Concordia,
Mhm.
which is a nonprofit that works on building cross-sector collaboration between the public and the private sector to work on social impact. Then I was called to join another presidential campaign that was in 2018. And I came back and campaigned for the candidate that was Ivan Duque, that later that year won the presidency of Colombia. And I was appointed as chief of staff, chief of cabinet, as we call it here,
Mhm.
for the government of Colombia. And I was in that job for the full 4 years of his government
Mhm.
until August 2022. And later I joined my current role at Libra Group. I am the Chief Relationship Officer. Libra is a international business conglomerate that has presence in more than 60 countries. We have around 20 subsidiaries, and we are all over many of the sectors between hospitality, shipping, aviation, energy, you name it. So
Okay.
that's a short of who I am. Um,
That sounds like an impressive career already.
Thank you, Chris.
What do you explain a little bit what the Libra Group is and does? What is, can you be more specific? I mean, you're worldwide, fair enough, I got that. But what is it that you do? What does
Um,
the organization do? I mean, relationship officer, I can imagine that.
so the Libra Group is, let's say, is the parent company, and we're very, let's say, slim. That's the organization's theme, to be slim in order to have of the bulk of the work in in the subsidiaries. So the Libra Group is just the organization, the parent company that provides strategy, that provides support, that provides guidance to our subsidiaries that are the ones that are developing the jobs in the different sectors. So we have 3 energy companies around the world. One based in Europe, which is called Euro Energy. One based in Latin America, there's Greenwood Energy. One based in North America, that is called GSI. We have a hospitality business that is called Aria, that just recently expanded internationally. They were only based in Greece, and now they have expanded to Latin America, here in Colombia and the DR. We have a shipping company that is where our origins of the group started. We are a Greek heritage family-owned group, and the shipping business it was the core, let's say, business from where all the group started. We have real estate, 2 companies of real estate, one in Europe, one in the US. We have media companies. So again, we are very diversified, and the group as the parent company is the one that provides all the support, guidance, strategy, and yeah, like alignments for the subsidiaries to operate.
Okay, that's a lot. How many people work in total then? I mean, if you take all the subsidiaries and which fall under the umbrella of the Libra Group.
I cannot tell you how many. I mean, because just think about only on the shipping company, how many people can work in the ships, or in
Yeah.
the hospitality. We have over 60 hotels in Greece. So there's
Okay.
many employees. What we do keep very slim is the parent company, Libra Group. We're only
Okay.
40 employees at the parent company, because the philosophy of the group is, if you have a very bulky parent, you're not able to. What we want to do is provide decisions in a fast way, to be very proactive. And if you have a lot of people in the upper level, it's very difficult to be able to make the decisions go down in a seamless way.
Right. So you're keeping it agile, the organization.
Very agile, very doing like this decisions in like minutes.
How do you, I mean, with so many subsidiaries in so many countries and so much diversified as well in terms of what the organization does or what the subsidiaries do, how do you manage that from a cultural perspective? Because if it's so international, you must have something or pay some sort of attention to cultural differences.
Yeah, I think that the main key thing here is what I always call cultural intelligence.
Hmm.
We have to be very cultural savvy, and have the ability to understand and easily adapt to different backgrounds and cultural differences of each country or region. I think at Libra, we are very cultural intelligent. Just to give you an example, if we go to a country, just recently we went to Japan, a delegation of the group went to Japan. We created business cards that had our names and titles in Japanese. So when we went to the meetings, we could hand over a business card that had our names in Japanese. Those are little details
Hmm.
that, when you are establishing relationships, give the other side of the equation, like, oh, these guys have taken the time to bring business cards in our language, you see.
Hmm.
So we're very savvy on that. I think we take much time to really understand how each culture works. And another thing that we are at Libra are very keen of is attention to detail.
Hmm.
We look, we research, we look into who are we meeting, we do maps of like the different connections from where we can get to someone. And so yes, I would say that cultural intelligence is like the like the
Overarching.
overarching, yeah, theme that we at Libra use in order to be successful in all these relationships between partners and countries.
Okay, makes sense like that. And then you're the chief relationship officer. You're the liaison between the company and governments?
I am, yes, with many of the governments, especially, of course, in Latin America, given my background and
Mhm.
my, let's say, area of expertise. But I have also really relationships with many countries throughout the world. And yes, I serve as main point of contact between governments and but every stakeholder.
Hmm. Okay. All right. And is there any, you say predominantly South America, correct?
Mm,
Or not only?
I'll say the Americas in general because
Okay.
we have a big presence also in Panama. We have a big presence in DR, so that's more Central America. And yes, South America is a big, but I would say like Latin America in general is a region that is very important for the group.
Okay. All right. Okay. Makes sense. Is there any in out of these countries, say if it's Latin America, say from Mexico to all the way down to Punta Arenas in the south, are there countries, excuse me, are there countries that are easier to deal with, or are there countries that are particularly difficult?
Yeah, because I would go back that into the connection between politics. I think that for us, it would be very difficult to go and have businesses in Venezuela, where we have, let's say, regime, right?
Hmm.
So we would not explore businesses there because there's no way we can connect with the government there, or there's no, let's say, yeah, how can you go to a country like Venezuela and have like a good relationship there?
Yeah.
So I would say it depends on I think it depends on the political stability of the country.
Hmm.
Some, of course, are more stable than others, but um, but again, we as a group we're non-partisan. Let's say we as individuals can think about things, but our main thing is our business, our people, and do good.
Okay. Of course, I understand Venezuela is a difficult one given the political situation there. But with the coming of the new president in Argentina, Milei, does that help you or does that hinder you? Because also he's not the average, if you want, president or ruler of a country.
He's not, but he's open for business, and that's what we care about. He's been very open on we want Argentina to be a country again that is open for business, that international companies come to our country and
Mhm.
invest. And we're really, of course, looking forward to that. We have a history in Argentina. We have a real estate company in Argentina. So we do have an interest in doing business there. And no matter if we agree or disagree on his political stance, what we know is that currently Argentina is a country that is open for business, and that's what it's important for us.
Okay. That's on the other side of the spectrum. If you look at the current president in Petro, I'm talking about Petro in Colombia, he's not as business friendly. That's what it
Not
looks like at least.
He's not, but you know what? I'm going to give you a story here.
Hmm.
You know that we here in Colombia we have a very very beautiful project with with our Latin American um, energy company, which is called Greenwood Energy. We
Hmm.
have a project called Terra, and this is a project that is in partnership with the Arhuaco community of the Sierra Nevada of Santa Marta.
Hmm.
And we are providing clean energy for their community, and there's an environmental fee of the project that goes to invest in the communities. And so this is another example of how cultural is so important. You imagine a private company coming to make business with an indigenous tribe of a country. We had to be very cultural savvy in order to build trust
Hmm.
between an indigenous partner and an international corporation.
Right.
And we have this beautiful project, and we actually our chairman George Locoteris was able to meet Petro in December 2023, if I'm not mistaken, yeah,
Mhm.
2023, in order to let him know about the project. And because of, I mean, for Petro, the indigenous communities are a priority. For Petro, the let's say the energy transition is also a priority. So for us, we were like, even though, let's say, and I'm speaking for me it's difficult to handle our relationship with the current government.
Hmm.
What is important for us, it's not politics, it's social impact, the social impact that this project is going to create for Colombia and the benefits that is going to bring for this community. So
Hmm.
I was able to put together a meeting between our chairman and President Petro for him to let him know about the project. And so that happened.
Okay. All right. So you talk like a politician almost.
Well, Chris, so many years in politics, you,
Exactly.
you, something gets into you, right?
Yeah, yeah. And of course, you like that. Although I've been thinking about this as well, because what you did, politics is uh, you could argue not for profit, and what you're doing currently is very commercial. Why make that shift?
But yes and no, we at Libra, of course, are a business, but I would say that there's always a level of philanthropy in everything that we do. This project with the Arhuacos community is a perfect example of the combination between business profitability
Hmm.
and social impact. So, and we always think about that. Like when we plan a trip for delegations of the group, we're always doing business meetings where we always do a social
Hmm.
visit something that on the philanthropy side, because we also have a sister organization that is called Libra Philanthropies, which is our the family's foundation
Hmm.
that has had impact in more than 30 million lives over the last 10 years.
Hmm.
And so it's for me, I don't feel there's a big gap between one and another, because social impact and philanthropy and doing good, it's at the core
Hmm.
of how Libra Group operates as a business.
Okay. The other thing that came to mind since you're so diversified and so big in, say, South America, um, what is the excuse me, what is the influence of China at this moment? Because it's a growth market for China. South America is a growth market. What's the impact there?
I'm going to speak as not for Libra. I'm going to speak as more as what the experience I had in government.
Hmm.
Definitely, China, let's say, came to the Latin America with open arms.
Yeah.
And I usually had discussions when I was chief of staff with the ambassador to the US, and he came to me and he said, the Metro of Bogota, the company that is creating the Metro is Chinese.
Yeah.
And I remember having conversations with the ambassador saying, but he came to, we had a very cordial and very nice relationship. He came to my office. I can't understand how are allowing all these Chinese companies to come to Colombia, blah, blah, blah. And I would say, you know what, ambassador, it's not our fault. If we don't have American companies that are presenting their projects, what can we do,
Hmm.
right? So it was a matter just of China was open to the world, and there was kind of like a decrease in the, let's say, American hunger companies to come and invest, at least I'm speaking about Colombia.
Yeah.
So it was only a matter of opportunity for us.
Okay. Okay. I makes sense. I read from your LinkedIn profile that you also work in Miami, correct?
Yeah, I'm currently based between Bogota and Miami.
Okay.
My I spend time. Let's say I'll say 80% of my time in Miami and 20% of my time in Bogota. We have since I told you we recently expanded with our hospitality company here in Colombia. So we have projects ongoing in Colombia that I'm supporting. And so every time that I'm here, it's because I'm doing business meetings and trying to expand the business in the country.
Hmm. Okay. Is there for you, because you also studied in the US, correct?
I did. I did my master's degree at Columbia University in New York.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
How was that I mean, I can understand Miami is close to home, literally closer to home as home being Colombia, Bogota. Um, and there's of course a very large Spanish speaking community in the Miami area, in the Florida area.
it's Chris, I feel in Colombia with the let's say the good things of not living in a third world country. So basically, you feel like if you were in Latin America, but
Hmm.
you're in the U.S. in a U.S. city with everything that can give you the United States, which is a wonderful country. But you feel that I mean, Miami is the gateway for
Yeah,
Latin America.
yeah.
Yeah.
Usually, if you want to fly from Buenos Aires to Lima, you usually fly via Miami. That's sort of the
Exactly.
hub.
And to come to Bogota, Chris, is a 3 hour flight. So I take a 10 in the morning, 7 a.m. flight from Miami, and I'm here midday, and,
Mhm.
and I can still take meetings in the afternoon
Yeah,
or the other way. So it's
yeah.
just very, very easy.
How is it then for you?
Many of the sorry to interrupt, so many of the
No.
businesses that originate for the region are built in Miami.
Mm,
Miami, since COVID, it's a completely different city. It's not the malls city only,
uh-huh.
but now the city has grown a lot. Many tech companies have established in Miami. Many companies that have a big presence in Latin America prefer to have their headquarters in Miami and operate from Miami. So it's a very important, yeah, headquarter for
Yeah,
Latin American
yeah.
businesses.
In I guess in your somewhat younger years, when you went to New York, and also in your professional life, how is that for you as a Bogoteña? I think that's what you would call them.
Bogotana.
Bogotana, okay, Bogotana, Bogotano. How was that for the first time being in the US and studying there, given those cultural differences between Latin America and the very individualistic Americans?
Yeah, Chris, it was a dream come true. I remember that I was probably like 9 years old when I first traveled to New York with my parents for a vacation.
Hmm.
And I told my mother, Mama, you know what? I'm going to live in the city. And I was 9 years old. And my mother was like, okay. And so for me, New York always had this charm and passion and like hecticness that really attracted me. So for me, when I had the opportunity to move to New York and have a job like the one I had when I moved to
Hmm.
be a consul for the Colombian consulate in New York, um, it was kind of surreal at the moment.
Hmm.
And when I started there, I didn't feel so much the cultural clash because I was working for the Colombian government. My colleagues were Colombians,
Hmm.
and my day to day was working for the Colombian community,
Okay.
and my friends were Colombian. So my exposure
Yeah.
at the beginning was not that much. But when I started school at SIPA in Columbia University, that was the year after I came to New York. So 2010, I arrived in 2009, and 2010 I started um, studying at Columbia University. That's where the clash came, having being exposed to all these people starting with me from all over the world, basically, because my master's degree was in it's an MPA, a master in public administration, with a concentration in political and international affairs. So you had people from all over the world coming to study. So that's where the real, let's say, cultural clash came, and I learned so much from like being in a U.S. university, but having the opportunity to study with people from all over the world.
Hmm. How was
Um,
that? How did you deal with those cultural differences?
no, you know what? I think that the most important thing is having the capacity of learning from each one,
Hmm.
having the capacity of understanding each person. I was so surprised, Chris, when I started working. I'm sorry, studying at Columbia with my European classmates.
Hmm.
And there you can see how the cultural heritage, it's completely different to, let's say, someone from Latin America. You
Oh
can
yeah.
feel the rudeness and the, let's say, ancient roots from the history, it's like deepen in the DNA of a European,
Hmm.
rather like like we're newer. Like you can see it's I don't know how exactly to explain it, but I could feel it in the classes, how they talked and how they talked about history and how they talked. And I felt like I was like they were way beyond myself
Hmm.
compared to what they knew and how they interpret the world.
Hmm.
Uh, Even we were the same age, let's say, but they in their DNA, I don't know if it's a thing of epigenetics or what it is,
Hmm.
but you can feel that they had this uh, the wars and everything more injected in their systems that we had it because we didn't experience firsthand that. And I'm not saying we because of age. I'm saying about the epigenetics of that, the DNA that
Yeah.
it was completely different.
Okay.
So for me, the learning experience of seeing my classmates kind of, I was younger, but not that young compared to them, how how they knew so much, how they it was a great learning experience.
Okay, that's interesting. I need to do some soul searching and see if I have that same historical DNA in myself, being originally from
I'm sure you
Brazil.
do. I've been, our chairman, George Logotheris, is very keen in learning and about all of this epigenetics theme. And I have been reading, and I mean, the things that you discover that you don't know that you come with them because of, I don't know, thousands of years of your ancestors are incredible.
Hmm. Okay.
So definitely look into that.
Let me think about that. Some soul searching going on. Um, my experience with South America is mainly between Guatemala, Colombia, and Ecuador. Which of these three countries, do you think are more sophisticated or more advanced?
Well, you put me in a difficult position. I will say as far as institutions and democracy, I would say Colombia has a
Hmm.
very strong institutional background. Um, we were a country that it didn't have, let's say, any only 2 or 3 years of a dictatorship throughout the story of our democracy.
Hmm.
That if you compare that to the region, that is incredible. So I would definitely say that for me, Colombia is the more institutionalized and yeah, the democracy in Colombia is very potent, even though we're seeing what we're seeing currently with the Petro administration. But even that, our institutions are that strong that even though many things have happened throughout the 3 years that Petro has been in government, the country is still resilient. The country is
Hmm.
still, yeah, let's say, I don't want to say good shape, but decent shape.
Yeah, no, I understand. I would agree with that as well. At least from my experience, I was just curious to hear it from your side as well. I'm looking at the clock here, and we've been talking now for a little over half an hour. So I'd like to ask you the two last questions, which is the first but last question is, can you give us three tips to become more culturally competent?
Sure. Look, I have as I said, that I already talked to you about the cultural intelligence. That I think that that's my overarching, let's say, framework for everything that I do
Uh-huh.
in my jobs. Then I have a second one that is attention to detail. For me, that's key in order to be successful in everything
Hmm.
that you do. I have a third one that is always respond. If I was known for something in the government, is that I responded every email, every WhatsApp message, every letter that came to my office. And people were like, oh my God, this woman always respond. Maybe people didn't like my response, but I always responded. And I
Right.
think that aspect of always responding is a key to building effective and lasting relationships. Um, I would say also listen before you interpret
Mm-hmm.
whatever you're trying to talk with a stakeholder, a partner, a colleague.
Yeah.
I would also say context is everything. You really need have context of what you're trying to deal with before you take any decision, before you make any movement. And I would say, yeah,
Three is enough
have
already,
your,
right? Don't-
the last one I would say is build cultural curiosity into your daily life. You have to have curiosity to learn and to understand other people's culture in
Mm,
order to be effective in creating these sustainable relationships.
okay. All right. Good point. I got 6 points down instead of three, which is fine, which is fine. And they will come up in the show notes as well. And the last question, Maria, I'd like to ask you is if people want to get in touch, in touch with you, how can they do that?
Sure. I have an Instagram account, which is at Ma Paula Correa
Hmm.
F. I have a LinkedIn profile. I am on Twitter as well at Maria P. Correa. On Twitter, I'm very political, and that's why on my feed you can see that I always put that opinions. My opinions are personal opinions and do not have to do anything with the Libre group.
Right.
And yeah, so Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and then yeah, I
That's
would
good.
say that.
That's good enough. That'll be in the show notes as well. All right. Well, thanks so much. I enjoyed talking to you and getting your view on, well, partly South America. Interesting that I've never heard of the Libra group before. No doubt it's subsidiaries I might have heard left, right, and center. Um, well, that's it. I wish you a very good day, and I'm pretty sure we'll bump into each other in the future.